Hello, everyone. Welcome to our weekly class on lessons in Tanya, and we gear it towards non-Jews. I call the class, I think, uh, non-Jews and Hasidus or Hasidic study of non-Jews, something like that.
James, can I
Yes,
interrupt you for a moment?
sure, absolutely.
Um, we need to remember Ernestine, continue to remember her in prayer. She had the flu real bad Shabbat
Oh my
night
goodness. Okay.
and wasn't in class on Monday, so I'm not exactly sure how she is, but she was rough on Shabbat night.
Oh my
So,
goodness. Okay. May Ernestine have a refuah shlema. May she, I forget how to say, I don't know how to say quick and complete in Hebrew, but may she have a quick and complete recovery. And so this will be in her merit as well. Um,
thank you.
yeah, I've heard the flu this year is really rough.
Yeah, and this is like the second time she's had it bad.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Yeah, that's always scary. Okay. Um, so this is actually kind of it's a very important chapter, it seems. Well, all of Tanya is, of course, but this is kind of hard for me to completely understand when it comes to the light and the Shefa and how they're different and things of that nature. So hopefully it'll be explained to us more. I do want to say it's very interesting here because we're talking about the 613 parts of the human body. Um, I think a lot of people argue that that just means the Jewish soul, the Jewish body. But it says the atom, ha'adam. I forget exactly where it says it. I think it's when it first, I don't want to lose my spot too much, but
Well, we all have the same sinews and organs.
right. On a physical level, right? And I would think
Mhm.
so. And that's representation of what's above. And not only that, but some people would say, well, Ha'adam just means Jews. I think that's usually referring to Adam, just Adam, just the word Adam, not Ha'adam. And for instance, in Vodazara, they use even a goy that studies Torah is like the Kohen Gadol, that is deeply involved in Torah studies like the Kohen Gadol, and they use
Yeah.
the proof text, which is from Vayikra 18, maybe. It says, I think that's where it's from. If you keep these laws, every man that keeps these laws shall live by them. That's not a direct quote. I'm kind of paraphrasing. And it says Ha'adam there. It doesn't say the sage's reason why it doesn't mean all mankind is because it doesn't say Yisrael, Kohanim, or Levim. It doesn't separate out the different types of peoples. Why does that matter? Because the Talmudic sages reference all of humanity as Ha'adam, and I've noticed in a few places that the Alter Rebbe uses Ha'adam as well in reference to these 214 organs. Oh, yeah, right here. This is what I was looking for. So, by way of analogy, the human soul, uh, so this does say the neshama, and usually that's reference to a higher soul, and it pervades all 248 organs of the body. But he goes on down here further, which is where I think we left off, that uh, these 248, there's actually 613 parts. There's 248 organs. There's 365 other parts like blood vessels and the like. 248 is the right side, 365 is the left side. So there's 200 and all 613 mitzvahs, all 613 commandments um are connected, are like conduited into these organs. And so when a person does mitzvahs, when they do mitzvot, and the Alter Rebbe goes on to this earlier, like how can you do all 613 if 613 are applicable today? He doesn't say that explicit, but he says even Torah study, tefillah, prayer, and tzedakah, acts of charity and kindness. Um, those three things can fulfill all the mitzvahs. Um, and I'm not saying that non-Jews who are doing those things are fulfilling it. I'm not saying that, and he doesn't apply that. I'm not saying that's not that either, but that's not where I'm wanting to go really. The point is, it appears to me this is talking about the 613 parts of all humanity. The internal organs of 600 are 613, and they are connected to this. This it's not just the seven the way it appears to me. And a matter of fact, I've never actually read that there are only seven internal organs and the like. Now, on exterior, one could argue that there's seven different that would be called quadrants, but seven different areas of the body from an external perspective. I could see that, and I've read that as well. How that ties into the Sheva mitzvahs, um, as well as the in the Sephirotic structure, the lower seven. Um, but the reason why I want to point that out is because in order to unify the name and in order to unify your body, it does appear that we are connected to the Taryag mitzvot, the 613 mitzvahs. And why do I say Taryag? Because that's an acronym. It's actually the number. I don't even know if that's not acronym's not the right. It's the gematria 613. And um, so yeah, I just meditate on that quite a bit. Um, Now concerning the flow, I don't know where we left off really.
James, excuse me, can I interrupt you one more
Yeah,
time?
no, go ahead.
Dixie says she's stuck in Falcon, wherever that
Yeah,
is.
she said she was running late.
And so she wants me to send her
Oh, the link?
the link.
Oh, cool. She can
Did
listen
you
in.
post the link?
No. Well, I mean, I always have the link, but let me
Yeah,
see if I can.
because I can't pull it up since I'm already in here.
Yeah, no, it's totally cool. Oh, yeah, she even messaged me. I don't always check my messages and stuff, so. Oh, okay. Okay, she's got a link. She should be joining soon. You know what? Oh, we might just want to. I'm going to pause the recording and wait on her to get here. Alrighty.
Okay. We've been learning with Rabbi Ashlog that a blessed memory that everyone was born with a Jewish soul and with a Gentile soul.
Interesting.
Both Jew and Gentile have
Hmm.
both souls. So what's the dominant? And what, Russell? I said a Jewish dominant or a Gentile dominant. Right. And it depends on whether who you are. If
Hmm.
you're a Jew, then it's a Jewish dominance, or
Hmm.
if you're a Gentile, then it's a Gentile dominance, and that's why some people that are Gentiles are thriving or leaning towards the Jewish because their Jewish soul is
Dominant.
becoming dominant.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah, I understood it from my reading of Nida 30b. That's everybody's given it in the womb. It's just when people are born. So is Ashlag saying that it's well, he probably doesn't give
He's
much
saying the
detail.
same, yeah, he's saying the same thing. It's just that it depends on who nourishes the soul. Like,
Oh, that's
like,
okay.
yeah, if you're a Jewish child, then your soul, your Jewishness is being nourished. But if
Yes,
you're a Gentile child, then it's your other soul is being nourished.
that makes a lot of sense. That's actually aligned with the things that I've been reading and studying and my conclusions. Um, that's really cool. And that's the Ashlag is not a Chabad or a Hasidic source, I don't think.
No, I don't think so either. No. But it kind of I mean it makes sense because you have Jewish that are secular
Hmm.
and you have Gentiles that are leaning towards the Jewishness.
Right. Yeah. I'm starting to hmm, subscribe more of looking at things from a Hasidic perspective and then into the halacha rather than the opposite. Um, and not only that, they both correlate. The reason why I say that is because I think there's like a culture. Maybe I should say this. It seems more pure. The outlook is more pure in Hasidus or even Kabbalah for that matter. And then looking at the halacha, then looking at other things. The reason why I say that is because my understanding, and I think other people's understandings of, like, say, the Mishnah Torah, for instance, has been perverted culturally just by cultural understandings rather than looking what the actual texts say. And so when I see things, for instance, let me give you an example. The Hasidic, so most people say, matter of fact, this guy bugs me on Facebook. He's a Jewish guy. God love him, but he follows me around, and you guys know him. I'm not going to say him by name. I hope he just does teshuva one day, and you know, but he follows me around, and he always gaslights me, saying I don't know what I'm talking about and all this stuff, which is funny because when I read the stuff that he sends me, I can tell he doesn't know what he's talking about. And for instance, he'll say the Umoto Alam. He translates Umoto Alam, which is the peoples of the world. He translates that as Gentiles, and he gives the impression it's talking about all Gentiles. That's a really big problem, and it's unfortunately it's translated that way in like the English texts of the Tanya here, but it's wrong, and I want to say that with as in such a kind way as possible, but it's wrong, and the Umot Alam are the left side people. They are from the side of Gevura, which is only, so to speak, half of the sides of Hashem. It's the din and it's the harsh klipot. It's the harsh coverings that are opaque, and the shalosh klipot tameot. That's where their souls are from, and it's hard to tell who those people are. I mean, well, I would say usually not too hard if they're really wicked people, I guess. But um, that's the Umot Ha'olam, and it's not, you can't translate it as Gentiles. Are they certain types of Gentiles? Yes, but they're not all. And this guy, he translates it that way, and then of course he tells me I don't know what I'm talking about. And then he tells other people that unfortunately are ignorant about it, and it makes it sad. So it's really bad. So you get non-Jews who are ignorant of the Torah. They mean well, maybe, but they have a strong sense of justice. And then when they read that, then they think, "Wow, these Jews are teaching that the Umot Alam." Which, when they translate as Gentiles, so they translate it as all people. And then the ignorant non-Jews, they see that and say, "Oh, the Jews are saying that all Gentiles are from the Shalosh Klipot Tameot, the completely impure side. They're completely selfish. Uh, They don't have a godly soul and all this stuff. And unfortunately, it's not being well known that that is only certain types of non-Jews. And that there's another type called the Hasidei Olam, the kind ones of the peoples of the world. They emanate from the right side, and they emanate from a different type of klipa called klipat noga, which is also the same type of klipa that Yisrael is from. Their animal souls are from. So everybody has an animal soul. That's another thing too. That's like another big misunderstanding that, oh, they just think everybody's the goyim are animals and the like. Every human being has a nefesh, behemoth, an animal soul. Um, but the umot ha'olam are unkind people. They do things for selfish motives. They are self-seeking. They are oh, what's that new term called? When all the Marxist stuff came out, they oh my goodness, self-righteous. I forget the term. Um, but they want to point out that they're righteous and the like. I forget the term off the top of my head. That's gonna bug me. But anyways, that's the left side, and they're selfish, and that's also the side of all the unclean animals. For instance, like um, I don't know, think of some kind of like bottom feeding animal, like a snail or something like that. You're not supposed to,
Catfish.
yeah, cat, yes, right. You're
Whitefish.
not supposed to consume those things. And there's certain ways that you're supposed to go around it. Now, that says that they're evil, but I don't know if evil is the right word. And a lot of times that's translated that way, like the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. But it's things that are just not permittable. They're prohibited. Not only that, but an interesting thing is that during the times of Mashiach, the klipa of those forces will be done away with, and they will be redeemed as well. They just can't be easily redeemed right now, and so they are prohibited. And I'm not saying that they're going to become kosher necessarily, like we can eat them, but it's going to, everything is going to be elevated for godliness. Everything is going to be put in its proper place. And then you have a right side, which I mentioned earlier. That's what's called Hasidei Umoto Olam. They are the kind ones of the peoples of the world. And those people are rarely mentioned. And I hate seeing them not mentioned because there's rabbis and there's Jews, there's rabbis, there's non-Jews like the Noahides and stuff like that that they will translate the Ummah Halam as all Gentiles. That's a huge problem, and that just creates more anti-Semitism, um, or certain types of, I should say. And because there's some anti-Semites, they just literally just don't like Jews no matter what. But I think there's also a current misprojection, mistranslation, misunderstanding that is being projected into the world about non-Jews, and this is the whole aspect of the Umot Olam, and I think we need to instead be focusing on the Hasidei Umot Olam because I see so much kindness in the world, and and the idolaters of the Torah and the Tanakh of yesteryear, there is we don't see that as much anymore. And most of humanity is being refined. Like, for instance, you will have non-Jews that help each other out of a pit. There are non-Jews that give tzedakah and return lost items and the like. That those people are, if they're doing it for true selfless motives, they're if they have an element of bittul about them, that is called hasidei umotolam. They are truly kind. They are from that right side. They receive a portion in the world to come because Hashem deals measure for measure. Hashem is just, and he's not going to. He doesn't. Uh, um, oh, what's the phrase in the Talmud? But he treats all his creatures measure for measure. Uh, so that has to be focused on. And then you have, because they are from Klipat Noga, the Noga literally are the sparks of the Shekhinah that fell. So some fell to the left side and they are completely covered up by the Shalosh Klipot Tameo. They're basically like vampires on that klipa, or excuse me, on those sparks. And those are not going to be able to be redeemed until, like I said earlier, the times of Mashiach, particularly the second portion of that time, as talked about in Poda Besholom Hanafshi by I think it was the Mittler Rebbe. I read parts of it, so excuse me. Um, but this right side is today. This right side is for today, very close to us, and that really has to be hit home. There are people in the world that are still in avodah zarah, they're still in strange worship, but they're not in the land, they are outside the land, and the Talmud says that people that are outside the land cannot, by definition, be akum. They by definition are not the Eved Kohavim or Mazalot. They're not full goyim, so to speak, because they don't really know what it is they're doing. They're not really doing it with kavana. And so there are people in this world that are not full idolaters and they are doing true kindness. And this is the souls that are from that, the animal souls are from Klipat Noga. They're sparks that can be berured, they can be uplifted today. Even though they are still in avodah zarah, they are still connected measure for measure with the good deeds that they do. So you can have somebody that returns the lost item of a fellow or even a Jew, for instance, and then they go off and they do avodah zarah, but they are not actual full blown hakum. They're not full blown eved kohavim avdei kohavim umazolot. So that is what needs to be told and focused on and through the Torah. So once a person is doing true kindness, true chesed, they can merit to interact in a peaceful manner rather than a manner of judgment. And because the Torah does have things that are very judgmental in it, but such a person that acts from the side of chesed merits peace between the seven lower and the upper sphirot, between Zeranpin and Arichanpin, where the Torah comes from. So you have this idea, or you have this concept where such people, which is very similar to Avraham, who was the embodiment, I guess. I don't know if that's the right term, but he was from that side, that right side, the side of Chesed. He was considered Chesed, and he merited the Torah even before the Torah was given. Har Sinai, he was still completing all the mitzvahs, it says. And it said in Hasidus that even though he didn't do them physically, he did them panimi, he did them inside because he couldn't physically do them. People would attack him and the like. I don't want to go into too much detail there, but the point is there are many people from this right side that have the ability, if they wanted, to to receive the Torah. And how do they do that? The best way to do it, I shouldn't say the best way because I don't really know their soul, but is the easy way. I shouldn't even say an easy way. One way is through the Sheva Mitzvos B'nai Noach, the seven laws that were given to the children of Noah. And you do them because the Torah says so. And the reason why it's got to be because the Torah, or it should be, is because that is the side of Chesed. If you do the seven, but not for the sake of Torah, you do them from the left side. which is not Torah, which is very harsh. And that's why you see a lot of things about the laws of B'nai Noach. It's all head chopping. It's all head chops off. And if you notice our society today, when people transgress the seven, such as stealing, they just want to hang people. They chop their heads off. If if they find out like a politician stole money, he should be hanged and stuff like that. They say, I'm not saying that. I don't want to get, maybe I should have censored that or something, but uh, that's what people say. And not only that, but then they misunderstand it in regards to the seven, because there are many, I'd say 99% of rabbis, for instance, they teach the Sheva mitzvahs as that's what B'nai Noach do, and you should become a Ben Noach. The truth is, though, a Ben Noach is someone that is removed from the Torah, yet does the seven according to their way. And that's why it's said in Avodah Zarah, what is it, 2, 3, um, that Hashem loosed the Bnei Noach from being mitzuvah, from being commanded in the seven, because he saw that they did not do them. So he loosed them. Um, so without the Torah, which is this is from the right side, the side of Chesed, it's very, very harsh. And that's why the world is very harsh without Torah. Um, And there are gradations of that. There's cultures, even in Christianity and the like, or Islam or whatever, they will base their laws out of the Torah, and they're usually nicer laws than what people would do without them. Even people that don't live by them, it winds up in death. So it's important to do the seven because of the Torah. And let me give you an example. Manslaughter. A Ben Noach that commits manslaughter, he cannot run to a city of refuge, and he gets decapitated. Even if, like for instance, Ben Noach runs over a homeless guy on their way home. So you have a Ben Noach coming home from work, and heaven forbid you hit a homeless guy who's stumbling out in the street, or maybe a drunk guy or whatever. Not saying all homeless people are like that, but it happens. And they Ben Noach, like a Stam Ben Noach, that's manslaughter, and that Ben Noach would be worthy of death. However, a Ger Toshav, and what is a Ger Toshav? A Ger Toshav is someone who does the seven, who accepts the seven because the Torah says so. They do the seven the way Yisrael does them. And because that's from the side of Chesed, they get to run to what's called a city of refuge, and they get to plead their case. And this is talked about in Makos 9a, which is a section of the Talmud. And that's where the Ritva writes a famous commentary on the different kinds of non-Jews. He says there's three different kinds. There's a Stam Goy who is not commanded in the seven, and he doesn't do them, or he's not careful in them. Then there's a Ben Noach that tries to be careful in them, but he doesn't do them because the Torah says so. He doesn't care about the Torah, basically. He just does them according to his thought, or his ways, or his people's ways, whatever. And then you have a third person called a Ger Toshav. A Ger Toshav is mitzuveh ve'oseh, is commanded and does in the seven. And the Rambam calls such a person a Ger Toshav, a person who accepts the seven. He calls them Ger Toshav. So a Ger Toshav, however, he is permitted to dwell in the land, and heaven forbid he commits a manslaughter, he can run to a city of refuge. Okay, and a lot of our society is like that if you think about that. They are similar in line with that Ger Toshav. You can run to a city of refuge, or plead your case and the like. There's the Inyan there, um, rather than a Stam Ben Noach. And I'm not saying that everybody is like Ger Toshav. I'm saying in certain aspects people pick up the Ger Toshav thing. So there's two branches of this Ger Toshav. There's people who do the seven because the Torah says so. They accept the seven because the Torah says so. And then there's another kind of branch of Ger Toshav that, or like Ger Toshav, I should say, where they're doing things like the Torah says, through how whatever they pick up. That's not really that's not really Ger Toshav, but it's like it. And for instance, returning a lost item. In the laws of Bnei Noach, that is not a thing. It's the Ger Toshav laws. It's Jewish laws. Um, Helping one another out of a pit, you know. Um, the only way to get around that on the Ben Noach side is kind of like a selfish reason or whatever, which is a whole nother topic. Well, it's actually along the lines of this topic as well, which is like there are people who believe that non-Jews can only do things for selfish motives. Why do they say that? It's because they assume non-Jews are from that left side again, from the Umot HaOlam, the left side, the Shalosh Klipot Tameot, the side of Gevura, strict Gevura only. And that's where their souls, but unfortunately, they translate that as all non-Jews, and that's just not the way all non-Jews act. Um, all non-Jews are not inherently selfish. They they can do mitzvahs for the sake of heaven, for the sake of the mitzvah itself, or whatever. And people say, "Oh, well, you're not mitzvah. It doesn't matter. That's just a reward scenario or not." And there are people who just do it because just it's the proper thing to do. And they're not doing it for selfish motives, which again, selflessness is from that right side. And we have to focus on those types of people because I'm seeing so many videos coming out about the Gentile stuff, and you get these anti-Semitic videos, and they're all using references about people, particularly Noachides and Noachide rabbis and the like, talking about Gentiles as if they all stem from this left side, the Shalosh Klipot Tameot, the impure side. The the problem with that is there's people from this right side, and we got to get to that. And hey, bud, and that's one of the reasons why I focus on this, I wouldn't call it common ground, but there is common ground of humanity where on the basic level we are human. We do have 613 parts. We have the ability to be righteous. That does not mean everybody is, but we swore an oath to be righteous, not wicked. We were taught the Torah in our mother's womb. We swore that oath in the mother's womb, and we were given that godly soul in the womb. And when we leave, though, we forget the Torah, and that godly soul goes makif. And here we are, we're non-Jews studying the Torah, trying to get back that nefesh elokis, that godly soul, that where we promise to be righteous. And so that's why we're doing what we're doing. Um, so now that I've taken all class, it is really important. I had to get that off my chest because I feel it building. I just feel this building, um, and it has to. This is the fight, and it's a fight against ignorance. It's not. I don't think it's really a fight against good and evil. I think there are people that want to do good, particularly a lot of non-Jews, and they're just being told that Jews are evil. And unfortunately, it's being reinforced by mistranslations and misunderstandings of the Torah. Okay. Where's that chapter 12? Did I go further down? I think I've been like, let's see here. Where are we here? Where's the, sorry guys. Here we go. Okay. Even the heart, which is a central organ from all other organs, receive vitality. The heart diffuses all the organs. It receives its own vital force from the brain, which is why the brain naturally dominates the heart. as explained above. So we're talking about this light that emanates or from the brain into all the organs. In chapter 12, it was explained that man is created with a natural supremacy of the brain over the heart. And the reason is explained here because the heart, despite its centrality, must in turn receive its own vital force from the soul through the medium of the brain. And I think we learned earlier that the Nefesh Elokis actually sits on the brain. In a truly similar manner, figuratively speaking, does the blessed Ein Sof fill all worlds so as to animate them. Okay, so he's coming from a different aspect. The whole concept of filling all worlds and encompassing all worlds. There is a marked similarity between the soul pervading the body and Ein Sof permeating all worlds. Okay, this is where it gets tricky for me. There's a marked similarity between the soul pervading the body and Ein Sof permeating all the worlds. Just as in the analogy, the soul is found within and suffuses the entire body. In a parallel manner, Ein Sof fills and is found in all worlds. Okay, I get that. And in each world there are creatures without limit or end, myriads upon myriads of various grades of angels and souls, and so on. And so too is the abundance of the worlds without end or limit, one higher than the other, and so on. In the realm of the spirit, separate and distinct entities are the result of their being on different spiritual grades and levels. Thus, a multitude of worlds implies a multitude of varying levels of spirituality. Hence, the sheer numerousness of worlds and created beings, each differs from the other in its spiritual gradation. Earlier on, when explaining his analogy, the Alter Rebbe pointed out that despite the vast differences that exist between one bodily organ and the other, the soul's essence is equally to be found in them all. Okay, this is the thing that gets tricky for me. He now goes on to explain that in the analog of the Ein Sof as well, the essence of the Ein Sof is found in a hidden manner equally within all worlds. Now, the core, you guys might need to help me out with this. Now, the core and essence of the blessed Ein Sof, of Ein Sof Baruch Hu, and is the same in the higher and lower worlds as in the example of the soul mentioned above. Okay, so I never saw that in Hebrew. The core and Atzmius, the Atzmo, the Etzem, uh, the essence. So the core. So I guess there's the reason why he uses two different words sometimes because eventually he's going to split them up and he's going to say that they're different stuff, you know. So that's why I want to look at the Hebrew. Mahut, Mahuto. Ah, hmm, it's interesting. Okay, so the core and essence of the blessed Ein Sof is the same in the higher and lower worlds, as in the example of the soul mentioned above, wherein the Alter Rebbe explained that the soul's core and essence is not divisible, and thus it cannot be said of it that it is found in the brain to a greater extent that it is found in the feet. So the soul's core and essence is not divisible, and it's the same in the brain as it is in the feet, the core, the essence. And as it is written in the Tikkunim, that he is hidden from all the hidden. This means to say that even in the higher, hidden worlds, he is hidden and concealed within them, just as he is hidden and concealed in the lower worlds. Thus, the intent of the Tikkun Zohar is not that God is more concealed than are all other hidden things, but that he is concealed even from the hidden worlds. The reason for this being, for no thought can apprehend him at all. even in the higher worlds. Because God is equally concealed from all worlds, no distinction can be made between higher and lower. He defies the comprehension of the higher worlds to the same degree that he cannot be apprehended in the lower worlds. And he is found, i.e., with regard to where God is to be found, just as he is found there in the higher worlds. So he's to be found in the very lowest worlds. Okay. The difference between the higher and lower worlds is with regard to the flow of vitality, which the blessed Ein Sof causes to flow and illumine in a manner of revelation out of concealment. Okay, so you have the core and the essence, and now we're talking about the flow of vitality, which there's a flow and an illuminance too. Okay, so you have core and essence, and then here you have flow and vitality. In a revelation, so it causes to flow and illuminate a manner of revelation out of concealment. So Gilui Ha'elim. This is very okay. I'm gonna go. I gotta go. I gotta tell you guys this. Okay. Yumot Ha'olam. It's well known in Chabad Hasidus. Don't say Ha'olam, but read Helam, which is concealment. So in other words, Umot Ha'olam, the most accurate way I would translate that is the people of the world, the peoples of the world. Umot Ha'olam. However, Chabad Hasidus says don't read Ha'olam, read Helam, concealment. So if you put concealment where Ha'olam is, Helam, you would say the people of concealment. And that's what's going on. Like even the Umot Ha'olam, they are completely concealed. The sparks that fell within them are completely sealed from them, and they're trying to get it. They're trying to get to it. And so what do? They see the Klipot no Ga greater because theirs is opaque. And so they can't feed off of that. What they do is they go after the Klipot no Ga souls. And like, what does a wolf prey on? He's going to feed on carrion or whatever. And he's also going to feed on, he's really wants a nice deer or an elk or something, right? Um, but those are animals. I don't know if elk's kosher. Um, oh, hey, Ernestine's here. Baruch Hashem. See, I thought she was joining. Oh, I added her. Well, guys, she was trying to join. I don't know if she's going to or not. I accepted it, God willing. So that's good. There she is. Hey, Ernestine, can you hear us? We heard you were kind of puny.
Yes.
Oh, Baruch
I'm
Hashem.
better now. Thank
Oh,
you.
thank God. Baruch Hashem. Good deal. I was a little bit worried for you there. I know how bad flus can get and stuff. So, um, let's see here. The difference. Okay. Um, oh yeah. So there's the Moto the Hasidim. They're still in a concealment. And like even Jews, when they are born, the Nefesh Elokis is not coming on them yet. That it's something that is impressed on them by the people around them. By that is their inheritance, or a part of their inheritance. People that are doing the Torah around them impress upon that child the Torah and mitzvahs, and then they are receiving their godly soul, and they're revealing godliness. So they're doing the revelation out of the concealment. That's how important Yisrael is. Like people, it's not that, from what I've seen anyways, it's not that Yisrael is inherently, I want to be careful here because in a way they kind of are inherently better on the spiritual level because they are chosen and the like. They are commanded. And when you're Mitsuveva Ose, you're operating at a higher level than people that are Eino Mitsuveva Ose, not commanded and does. Because there's an element of bittul about that, and it's like a higher soul. However, on a I don't know how to describe it. On a basic level, it's the same thing as non-Jews in one way, because you're still just operating on a nefesh behemo. You're still just operating on an animal soul. Now, the Torah and mitzvahs, that godly soul, when it comes in, it starts to operate on that nefesh behemoth, and it does elevate and it does change that soul, and it will be passed down from generation to generation, I believe. So on that level, it is different, but there's a image, so to speak, that it's the same. It's the same process, basically, for non-Jews. I don't know. I didn't express that clearly, but that's the best I can do for right now. So the Umot Olam and even Hasidei Umot Olam are still in the concealment. Even a Jewish child at birth is still in the concealment. What helps reveal them? What helps that revelation out of concealment? What helps reveal that godly soul? For a child, it is for a Jewish child, it's circumcision. That's the beginning of the interaction of Torah and mitzvahs. For the boy, for the woman, it could just be divrei Torah, just words of Torah and the like. Um, the Alter Rebbe will soon conclude that this revelation is intended for the purpose of vitalizing the worlds and their inhabitants, for the vitality of all worlds and creatures derives from the revelation of godliness within them. Thus, the difference between the higher and lower worlds lies in the varying degrees of divine revelation within them. With regard to revelation out of concealment, the Alter Rebbe now states parenthetically that this manner of revelation is one of the reasons why the godly vitality found within the worlds is called light, which is one of the reasons why the influence and flow of this vitality is figuratively called light. In Kabbalistic literature, the flow and vitality of godliness is termed light rather than shefa, flow. Well, flux, I guess is what he's calling it. As it termed in Jewish speculative philosophy, hakira, light signifies a revelation out of concealment. Previously, the light had been concealed within the luminary, the source of the light, for instance, like the sun. And subsequently, it is drawn forth from this source like a ray and is revealed as light. So like a sun ray, like a sun, the light coming from the sun. Thus, in the case of revelation out of concealment, only a minute illumination of the source is drawn down into a revealed state. Oh. Not so with Shefa, where it is the actual flux, the actual flow and stream of the source that flows down and is revealed. Hence the phrase Vashifat, but Vashifat Maim, a flow of water. The self-same water that was previously in one place flows to another place. The above-mentioned revelation of concealment of light serves the purpose of thereby animating the worlds and the creatures within. Herein lies the difference between the higher and lower worlds. For the higher worlds receive this vitality and light in a somewhat more revealed form than do the lower, i.e., even in the higher worlds, this light and vitality is not manifestly revealed. And all creatures therein in the higher worlds receive the revealed aspect of vitality, albeit each according to its capacity and nature. Gotta read that again. Just as in the analogy, each bodily organ receives vitality from the brain according to its character and nature, so too does the Alter Rebbe state in the analog that each creature receives its vitality according to its capacity and nature. Note by the Rebbe. This means that each being receives vitality according to its capacity to have the life force and vitality revealed within it and according to the manner in which this vitality is to be revealed, whether as a revelation of intellect and comprehension or in a motive manner. But this is not to say that the nature conceals the revelation. Rather, it imbues and illumines it. Note by the Rebbe, which is the nature and form of the particular flow with which the blessed Ein Sof imbues and illumines it. Okay. But the lower worlds and creatures, even the spiritual ones, do not receive the divine life force in quite such a revealed form as it is received in the higher worlds. But only by means of many garments, wherein the blessed Ein Sof invests the vitality and light which he causes to flow and shine on them in order to animate them. The divine life force is garbed in many garments so as not to be revealed. This concealment involves not only a multitudinous profusion of garments, a quantitative manner of concealment, but a qualitative one as well. There's a vast difference between the insubstantial garments that conceal the vitality in the higher worlds and the much denser garments necessary to conceal the godly vitality to the degree that creation of the physical becomes possible. Were there merely to be a vast quantity of ethereal garments, the divine life force would only be capable of creating spiritual beings and not physical ones. In order for this physical world with its corporeal creatures to be created, much denser garments were necessary. It is this that the Alter Rebbe now goes on to explain. These garments, wherein the blessed Ein Sof invests and conceals the light and vitality, are so strong and powerful, i.e., the garments are not only numerous in quantity, but they are also of such a type that their ability to conceal is greater than that of ordinary garments. So there's a quantity as well as the quality of the garments. Now, thereby, with this life force and light, he created this world that is verily corporeal and physical. The Rebbe comments that the Alter Rebbe writes, this world that is very corporeal and physical, because this world exists on a spiritual plane as well. And the Alter Rebbe is referring to the inanimate aspect of this world in which no vitality is revealed. However, these aspects of this world, such as the vegetative and animal, in which some measure of vitality is revealed, derive their life force in a different and more revealed manner. This is so notwithstanding the fact that these levels, too, receive their vitality from Malchut of Asiya, as stated further. Page 132 in Igros HaKodesh, chapter 20, epistle 20, which God willing we'll get to in a year or so. Accordingly, we can also understand why the Alter Rebbe goes on to state that they receive their existence ex nihilo, out of nothing, after having previously stated that reference is being made here to this physical and corporeal world, a world whose creation must perforce be ex nihilo. B, the expression which is seen by mortal eyes, and C, a number of other intentionally specific phrases. The reason for all the above is that the Alter Rebbe is speaking particularly of an inanimate aspect of this world. Concerning this, he soon goes on to quote the Etz Chaim, which says that this vitality emanates from Malchut of Asiya. However, with regard to the world of Asiya as a whole, which also includes the spiritual world of Asiya. The Alter Rebbe will say in chapter 52 and 53 that they derive their life force from Malchut of Asiya and not from Malchut of Asiya. That's beyond my pay grade. And God creates and animates it by the vitality and light which he draws down and shines forth unto it. This illumination is a light that is clothed, hidden and concealed within the numerous and powerful garments, which hide and conceal the light and vitality, so that no light of vitality whatsoever is visibly revealed, but only corporeal and physical things that appear lifeless. Gazing at corporeal things such as the physical orb of earth can cause a person to imagine them as utterly lifeless, totally devoid of any spiritual vitality. Yet they contain light and vitality, which constantly creates them ex nihilo, yesh ma'ayin, something from nothing, so that they shall not revert to anything and naught as they had prior to their creation. Creation ex nihilo must be constant. The fact that the world and its creatures were already once created during the 6 days of creation does not suffice. Rather, there must be a constant renewal of creation from its source. Thus, the godly light and vitality that is responsible for creation is constantly found within created beings, albeit in a concealed fashion. This light comes from the blessed Ein Sof, except that it is clothed in many garments, as it is written in that time that the light and vitality of the physical orb of earth, which is seen by mortal eyes, is derived from Malchut of Asiya. Malchut of Asiya is the lowest sphere of the world of Asiya, the lowest of the four worlds. Malchut itself is composed of all 10 sphirot, the lowest of which is Malchut. Thus, Malchut of Asiya represents the lowest degree of the lowest level of Asiya. And in its and in it is contained a Malchut of the next higher world, the world of Yetzirah, and so on. I.e., within Malchut of Yetzirah, in turn, there is contained Malchut of Beriah, and so on. So that in all of them, within the level of Malchut of all worlds, including the level of Malchut of Asiya, are contained the 10 sphirot of the loftiest world, the world of Atzilut, which are united with their emanator, the blessed Ein Sof. Thus, even the physical orb of earth contains godly light and vitality. This results from the light passing through the sphirot of all the various worlds, the sphirot being the godliness of each world, as well as through numerous and powerful dense garments that serve to conceal this vitality. The difference between the higher and lower worlds will be understood accordingly. The divine light and life force is revealed to a greater extent in the higher worlds than in the lower. And within this physical world, the light and life force is completely concealed. However, this is the case merely in relation to the illumination of godliness. With regard to the core and essence of the Ein Sof, there truly exists no difference between the higher and lower worlds. He is equally concealed from all, and he is equally found in them all. Excellent. Well, that was chapter 51. Thank you guys. Thank you everyone. Um, Glad Ernestine, you're all healed, and I'm glad everybody could join. We had a good class.
Thank you, James.
You're welcome. Alrighty, everyone. God willing, see you guys. So see you all next week, and before that, hopefully for Shabbat. So, alrighty, everyone, be well.
All
Be
right.
well. See you later.
See ya.